Welcome back, traders and investors. We have on the line here Greg Harmon, certified market technician, founder and president of Dragonfly Capital, and partner and CIO of Presidium Capital. Greg, how you doing on this Wednesday morning?
I'm doing great, Joel. How are you today?
We're doing okay. We're good. We're getting on with the show today. We just want to know a little bit about your background and your education, if you went to school.
I did go to school. It didn't do me much good, though. I
Okay.
I went to college in upstate New York at Cornell. Became a mechanical engineer, and by the time my senior year rolled around, knew I didn't want to be a mechanical engineer. So I came out of the college without a job. I started talking to some friends who were working on Wall Street. This was 1985, and ended up getting the job about 6 months later over at Chase Manhattan Bank, now J.P. Morgan, trading securities lending transactions.
Okay. All right. So you're all about technicals, and we talk about technicals a lot on our show here, and you kind of top down technical trading. Can you just give us a little bit of an outline of your approach to technical analysis?
Yeah, as you said, I'm a top-down technician, which means that for me,
You
I'm
sell
looking
at the
to
top and you
determine.
buy at the bottom, right? Is that what that means?
Well, that's the way you want to do it every time, right?
Right.
But for me, that means that the trend of the overriding major market is what's most important to me. So the top-down part is that, looking for the major trend, and then looking to identify stocks that are moving with the trend. Because you probably know this, 70% or more stocks move with the trend. So that if you get the wind at your back, that's an added bonus for you.
Okay, so now you identify. I mean, are you a bar chart guy? Are you a candlestick guy? What kind of time frames do you look at?
Yeah, when I look at individual stock charts, then I use candlesticks, and I use what I call a mosaic approach. So I'm looking at technical analysis techniques that are classically driven. I'm looking at Japanese candlestick patterns. I overlay Fibonacci's. I use harmonics.
Is that something
I
you
look
made
at.
up? Did you
I'm
name
sorry.
that after yourself?
I didn't.
Harmonics.
I, I wish I could take credit for that.
Okay. All right.
But
So you identify stock and the technical pattern. Now, do you go into the actual equity, or do you try and use the option markets to make your trades?
Well, I look at both, but my primary goal is to try and find an option setup that works around the stock. So I'm looking to then use that technical setup to look for good support and resistance levels and potential target levels to design a trade that allows me to get the exposure in the equity, but do it in a leveraged way and with controlled risk.
Okay, that's what we preach here. Is there anything? I mean, we've had a nice sell-off in the market last couple of days. We are getting a bounce. Is there something here that you could walk us through that the technicals may be coming in line for you, and just the technicals that you're looking at, and then also a possible options trade?
Sure. If you look at, let's start with corn.
Okay.
Corn is one that has been since last September putting in a nice rounded bottom and bouncing back out of the top side. And just last week started breaking through the 200-day moving average. Has the 20-day moving average cut up through it, and the 50-day is about to cut up through it probably in a couple of days now, creating what's known as the golden cross.
Ooh, the Golden Cross. Okay.
Golden cross, much better than the death cross, right?
Yep. Trying to get the
Uh, so
chart up here. Okay.
So for that stock, you can play that with the ETF corn,
Okay.
and I bought a little bit of that yesterday. The options on that are not as liquid as the stock itself, so I would tend to play the stock on that. And when it gets to a proper level, maybe over 36, start to protect the downside with options.
Okay, and that the symbol is CORN, huh? That is not coming up for me.
CORN.
Yeah, that for some reason that's No, oh, here we go. All right, so you look at are you charting the actual ETF, or are you charting the commodity and then using the ETF to make your trades?
Since I'm going to be trading in the ETF, I'm going to actually chart the ETF and look for the levels there.
Okay, so we've run into some resistance here above 35 here. You just looking through a little bit of the consolidation and then continue to move higher.
That's it. Yeah, you've got a point now where it's bounced off of about 35 and a quarter. If you are looking for a good trigger, a move over say 35, 35 would probably be a good trigger with the stop at around 34, 35, so dollar.
Okay. And there any individual other stocks that you have on your radar for today?
I put on a position in American Express on Monday, and I'm in an options trade.
Okay.
If you look at AXP, the ticker symbol for that,
Okay.
had a nice move down on Monday. The technical setup was going into that was that it was hovering around the 89 level, had bounced off of it a couple of times, and what I saw is a descending triangle with a top back on March 7th. So that triangle has a top around 94.35 and a bottom around 89. So the technical said that that's got a potential for a 5-point move lower, so down to about 84. Based on that, we put on just a simple April put for the 87.5 strike on Monday morning, and then spread that against the 85 strike as it continued to move lower to recoup some of the premium,
Uh-huh.
take some profit back, and continue to participate in downside. With the
Oh,
way it looks today, the Japanese candlestick on it yesterday looks like it might have formed what's a hammer reversal, so we might be looking to take that off today.
okay, so you were looking at this thing that 89 as a support level, and then it closed right near that. That looks like on Friday there. Yeah, on Friday closed 89.17. Really couldn't get a bounce on Monday. So when it went through, I mean, when it are you triggered on like that 89.07 low from Friday? And are you just using 89 even, and then boom? I mean, because you got to be pretty quick to get it. Was that your trigger point when it was going through 89, or was this just something that you did right off the open on Monday, thinking that 89 was not going to hold?
It was my plan is never to trade in the first half hour of the day, so it's got to move through my trigger around that 89 level and show that it wants to stay there, so that I'm not in the early morning mix. I don't want to be part of the rush. I want to be part of the actual move.
Okay, you said that at the top of the show that you kind of like to take the overall market in perspective and then find stocks that fit the criteria with the overall market. So, what indicator did you use? The S&P futures? Do you use the S&P cash? What do you use for your general indicator on the market? I mean, Dennis and I are kind of committed to the S&P futures because they start trading on Sunday night. They trade pretty much around the clock during the week. What do you use as your go-to indicator?
Yeah, and I'd say that I look at the S&P futures on a nightly basis. It's a definite benefit that they trade around the clock, but looking to string together history on the S&P, I will tend more towards the securities that I'm going to use to trade, so that I'll fall back to the ETFs and look at the longer-term charts, a year or 2 years, looking at daily candles on the SPY.
Okay,
I will look at things like gold and oil and the dollar in the futures markets as potential things that may impact the trend in the SPY.
okay, we got a lot of people following the gold market here. I mean, obviously, with being a technician, you're not like a perma bear, or a perma bull. You kind of go with the trends here. What's your outlook on the gold futures here?
gold is an interesting one. It's from a long-term perspective, it's in a downtrend off of that 1900 area, but has just been moving sideways now in a very broad range between 1200 and 1400 for what 9 months now.
Correct. Yeah, I just pulled up the monthly on that. Yep, you're correct. And
Now, most people that are in our universes are looking shorter term than monthly trades on gold. So you got to drill down further into that. And if you look at the last bounce off of 1185 in December, bouncing back up to 1400, and then pulling back down to 1275, which has been support. In a sense, we've made a higher high and a lower or a higher low as well along the way, and the trend looks like it's reversing back higher. Things that I look at, like the RSI and the MACD, are both turning back up. And the only thing that looks like it's in the way now is the 20-day moving average, which is, for most of your followers here, the middle of the Bollinger Bands. Around 1325 is probably the next level to pass through before it can possibly test that 1400 level again.
okay, everyone likes to follow the momos, and they kind of turned into the no-nos last week, stealing that term from everybody here. But do you follow them? Do you follow like the Facebook or the Teslas of the world, or they're just a little too much volatility for you?
I follow them mostly because people ask me about them,
Okay.
and they're fun to watch. But I'm not a day trader, so that I'm not watching them that closely. And I think for those Momo names, if you're not watching them that closely, you stand to get burned very badly on a reversal.
Okay, so the Facebook chart, your friends that are asking you about Facebook here have had a major decline off the highs. They did a lot of acquisition with their stock here. Couldn't quite fill the gap down to the 54.95 level, getting a little bit of life today. Actually trading up $1.30 in the pre-market here. Quick analysis of Facebook.
Well, from a daily chart perspective, it had a nice trend from back in July up through March, the beginning of March, and it's still in the downtrend. It's got some work to do. I would suggest that maybe it's worth a shot again if it can get back above that April 2 peak at about 63. And until then, it's probably suspect as to whether any kind of move is going to hold.
Okay, and moving on to another one, Tesla has really come off the all-time high, finding support above the $200 level at 203. Is this something that may tempt you for an option trade at all?
I look at Tesla and I see a repeating pattern of a long run up and then a pullback, and a long run up and then a pullback. And I think that this could get interesting if it could break away from that 20-day moving average again as well and create what's known as an ABCD pattern. Then you might look for another run from, let's see, it moved from about 120 to 260, so 140 points. So if it can get above 235, 240, the ABCD would say that maybe you see 335 in that eventually in a couple of months.
Okay, do you pay much attention to the fundamentals at all on these stocks? I mean, obviously coming into earnings seasons here, also upgrades and downgrades and things like that. Do you just try and stick to your charts, or do you pretty paying attention to the fundamentals?
I don't pay much attention to the fundamentals, and in terms of trading decisions, I try and ignore them completely and just follow the charts.
Okay.
Some people that I talk to find that kind of interesting, given that I've got a CFA as well as the CMT. But I find that in the short-term trading decision time frame, the fundamentals don't do much for you. I do trade a lot through earnings, though, and options definitely help in protecting positions through that time frame.
Okay, you mentioned the ABCD pattern here in Tesla. Are you looking at that on a daily or a weekly? Could you just walk our viewers through that setup?
Sure. The ABCD pattern is a basic construct within the harmonics. If you look at the low around November 2013 at around 120, and draw a line up to, my system just crapped out on me here.
Okay, take your time.
Hold on one second. There we go. So, and draw a line up to the February 27th area as point B.
Okay, I gotcha.
If you assume it's gonna turn from now, from that low yesterday or 2 days ago, mark that as point C.
Okay.
And then the pattern says take a look at the similar upside move in terms of time and duration, and it points you out to about 3:35 around the beginning of June. Now the pattern itself does not require the timing to work precisely, but it anticipates the dollar value move to be similar.
Okay. All right, Greg. Thanks a lot for coming on the show today. Greg Harmon, founder and president of Dragonfly Capital, giving us his outlook on the market and his method of technical analysis. Thanks a lot. You gave our traders some good tips, and we hope to have you back on the show again.
Thanks for having me, Joel. It was fun.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye now.
Bye bye.